To answer your question, no, Tesla did not give me these accessories as part of my internship, except for this cup. Okay, full disclosure, I did my internship way back in 2019, so I should probably take this off. That's better. I also didn't do my internship in the United States, but in Europe, so experience may vary across the world. Okay, so I started my internship in October of 2019. I was supposed to be there for roughly 6 months, but decided to extend it to 1 year so I could also do my thesis at Tesla. I started off by applying for a sales position, but unfortunately someone else got hired and the recruiter recommended me to also apply for a position in order operations, which I did, which led me to getting hired for order ops specialist. So my position was in the finance department. I know, boring. And some of the tasks I did were to generate final invoices, to make sure that overpayments get refunded, and make sure that trade-ins for older cars get handled. Alright, so now let's talk about some more details of my internship. It was a full-time position and they allowed me to decide what time I would start every single day. So between 8:30 and 10 p.m. I could basically decide what time I would come in, and depending on what time I'd start, my day would end at roughly 5 p.m. or 7 p.m, 6:30ish, as long as I worked the full 8 hours every single day. And me personally, I love to get home earlier so I could hit the gym after, so I basically every day started working at 8:30, which of course was a good thing. Alright, so why did I decide to apply to Tesla? So Tesla was simply my favorite company at the moment. I discovered Tesla somewhere in 2018 and 2019, and when I realized what they were doing, I was like, whoa, this is basically the Apple of the car industry. And it was so new, so different from anything else out there that I was like, okay, I need to know more. So from knowing Tesla, I began to learn who Elon Musk was. And then I found out that he also runs a space company, SpaceX. And then I found out that he has a cameo in Iron Man 2. So he basically is the real life Tony Stark, which made things even more insane. So I was basically fanboying, and at that point I was like, okay, why not just apply to get an internship at this company if I love it so much? So that's what I did. Okay, so next up is the interview process. Obviously I can't remember a lot of the basic questions. It was 4 years ago, give me a break. So obviously I got asked a lot of the basics about my past experiences in finance and cars, which I did not have, as I mentioned in the title, and my strengths and weaknesses. So there's one specific question which I vividly remember, and that was why Tesla? And I believe that the answer to my why Tesla question was the reason I got hired, because I honestly went crazy on this one. I was a genuine fan of Tesla, so I could tell a lot of the good things that they were doing, and also the achievements that they had during the Model S production. I think they were still, the Model 3 production was also nearing. As I mentioned before, I had no finance experience or no experience with electric cars, so that did put me in a competitive disadvantage. But my answer to the question of why Tesla was basically that I could tell why Tesla was special and why they are doing what no one else is doing. And I think that this really put me in a position to showcase that I'm worthy of being hired as an intern. So next up are a little bit of the pros and cons of my internship. So the pay was very good compared to my alternatives. I did not have a lot of alternatives. One of my alternatives was to work for free at the famous streetwear brand in Europe. I'm glad I did not do that, because I would be working full time for zero pay. Another point is that my colleagues and the other interns were chill and honestly very helpful. They never really put pressure on me, and if I didn't understand something or if I had a question, they would simply take the time to help me, and that's it. Another pro was that my work environment was also very helpful and not stressful at all. Bear in mind, I am speaking from the perspective of an intern. From what I understood is that Tesla, it can be very stressful for actual employees, which I do get. So work environment, check, loved it. So next up are the cons. Honestly, there weren't a lot of them, but one thing I did not really like about my internship, but I guess that's with basically almost all office jobs, is that my tasks were very repetitive. I basically had to do the same thing every day. And I felt like a lot of those tasks could be automated, which to be fair, they might be at this point, but back then when I was working there, they were not, and it was a lot of manual work, which seemed very inefficient. Second con, which I did not expect to happen, is that I personally expected to learn a lot more about Tesla cars, but frankly, this did not happen. I actually barely got involved in Tesla's cars at all. And a fun fact, a lot of my colleagues, which were working at Tesla for years, have never even driven one, not even a test drive. And that really kind of shocked me. And last but not least, this isn't really a con, but should also be mentioned, I guess. There were barely any amenities. As I said before, I'm not in the US, I'm in Europe, so the US might be different. Okay, so we didn't have gyms, we didn't have free food, we didn't have fancy working spots, just a small canteen and your desk. That's all. And to be fair, that's enough. If you really want to get things done, that's all you need, right? Okay, now let's move on to the tips to get hired with no experience. If you care about the company, show it. And that's what I did, and I believe that that's also the reason why I got picked over other interns. And you can do this through various aspects. Knowledge, of course, knowledge. Let's say you know a lot about the company and what they're doing. Show it. Even if it's not being asked, try to show that you know a lot about what the company is doing, what it's building, their vision, their mission, their principles. If you know a lot about them, show it. Next off is the history. I personally knew a lot about the history of Elon Musk. I knew that he wasn't the initial co-founder and that he joined later. Mentioning certain facts like the one I mentioned before will give you a competitive edge because you're basically showing that you know a lot more about the company than other potential interns might do. And of course the product. I knew the ins and outs of a Tesla car. I knew what Tesla was building, I knew how production went, I knew a lot about the cars and the direction they were heading. Another tip is to try to stand out. And you can do this in basically two ways. One is to be a permissionless apprentice. And this is a concept I learned from Jack Butcher from Visualize Value. The permissionless apprentice is basically getting your foot in the door by doing stuff for a person or a company that no one else is doing. A quick example is to basically rebuild a sample version of Tesla's website that would increase the conversion rate, or to give good ideas as to what the company could build towards the future. Another tip in trying to stand out is to show that you care about the company. I set up my background with a visible copy of Elon. Wait, let me grab the book. This beauty right here. If I remember correctly, I set this up in my background to showcase that I was actually really interested in Tesla and its CEO, Elon Musk. Either that or I simply mentioned that I read the book. I frankly don't really remember, but I do remember telling them that I was amazed by all that Elon Musk was doing and his work ethic. So I know this is a bit of a different video, but I hope this was helpful for all students. And if this works well, I might make another video about a full day in the life of me being an intern at Tesla. And to end this off, I want to leave you with a message by Uncle Thanos.
Uncle Thanos here. Subscribe and watch another video or I will dust you.
Thank you for watching.